1998 was the 100th anniversary of Liu Shaokai's birth. His old comrade in arms and former President Yang Shankin wrote a memoir, Outstanding Contributions, brilliant in the spring and autumn writing for the 100th anniversary of Comrade Shaokai's birth. At this time, Yang Shankin he was seriously ill and hospitalized, and he insisted on completing this article on the hospital bed. Yang Shankin wrote affectionately in the article, "Comrade Shaokai is a great Marxist and proletarian revolutionist. He has devoted himself to the consolidation and development of the Communist Party of China for decades, and has made indelible contributions to the cause of the liberation of the Chinese people and socialist construction. 18 years ago, I wrote an article in memory of Comrade Shaokai, recalling the years of working closely with him. With the passage of time, my nostalgia for him has not faded, but deepened with time." Yang Shankin. Yang Shankin and Liu Shaokai met for the first time in Moscow in 1930. Liu Shaokai attended the 5th Red Workers' International Congress as the head of the Chinese trade union delegation, and Yang Shankin was sent by the leadership to assist Liu Shaokai in his work. At that time, Liu Shaokai was already a well-known leader of the labor movement, but he had no heirs. His first impression on Yang Shankin was that he was very talkative, his conversation was vivid, rich in theory and rich in struggle experience. After that, Liu Shaokai and Yang Shankin worked together for a very long time. In the autumn of 1931, after Liu Shaokai returned to Shanghai from the Soviet Union, Yang Shankin worked in the labor union under his direct leadership, director of the political department. The two forged a profound friendship in the arduous revolutionary struggle. After the Red Army successfully arrived in northern Shaanxi on the Long March, the Central Committee decided to send Liu Shaokai, in the name of the representative of the Central Committee, to Pingjin to guide the work in the White Area of the Northern Bureau. He was the first Politburo member sent to the White Area to preside over the work after the Long March. At that time, someone was very worried about Liu Shaokai's safety and said to him, "You are returning to the tiger's den when you go to the White Area this time." But Liu Shaokai replied frankly, "If you don't enter the tiger's den, how can you find tiger cubs?" Liu Shaokai. After Liu Shaokai arrived in North China, he quickly opened up the work situation. After the outbreak of the anti-Japanese war, Yang Shankin also went to the front line in North China and served as the Deputy Secretary of the Northern Bureau of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China. He assisted Liu Shaokai, the Secretary of the Northern Bureau, to establish an anti-Japanese base area behind the enemy in North China. After the founding of the People's Republic of China, Yang Shankin served as the director of the Central Office for many years, in charge of all affairs of Zhongnanhai, so he naturally became the king of children in Zhongnanhai. It can be said that Yang Shankin's dedication and energy to Liu Shaokai's children is no less than his own. After Liu Shaokai's son Liu Yunruo fell in love, Liu Shaokai asked Yang Shankin to talk patiently with him in the name of organization. Liu Shaokai's daughter Liu Pingping was emotional and wanted to transfer to another school. She was afraid to talk to her father, so she went to Yang Shankin to talk. Liu Shaokai's son Liu Yuan and Yang Shankin's daughter Yang Li have been good friends since they were young. According to the practice in Zhongnanhai, Liu Yuan called Yang Shankin Uncle Yang and Yang Shankin's wife Li Bazao Mother Li, but Yang Li protested loudly. "What uncle? He is dad." Liu Yuan asked in surprise, "Aha! Dad? Liu Shaokai and his children." Yang Li insisted, "If you call my mother Li, if you call me father, it should be Yang's father." From then on, Liu Yuan called Yang Shankin Papa Yang, and Yang Shankin cared more about Liu Yuan. When Liu Yuan was 13 years old, Liu Shaokai arranged for him to serve as a soldier in the army. He stood guard at Xiaoximen every day. Yang Shankin would always use his lunch and dinner walks to Dieter to Xiaoximen to check the sentry. Later, Yang Shankin specially revealed and commended Liu Yuan in the Zhongnanhai movie hall, encouraging children from various families to go to the countryside, factories, and companies to exercise. In May 1966, Yang Shankin was wrongly criticized and left Zhongnanhai. He did not return to Beijing until the third plenary session of the 11th Central Committee in 1978. Liu Yuan specially went to visit Yang Shankin. He once recalled the scene of the meeting in this way. He looked older, thinner and more serious than before, but his eyes were bright and friendly. After the third plenary session of the 11th Central Committee, Yang Shankin returned to his position as a party and state leader, and Liu Yuan also went to university smoothly, and began to engage in politics after graduation. Yang Shankin has told Liu Yuan many times, "You must first learn to do things before you can learn to be a man." The key to doing things is also very simple: do more good things, do less wrong things, and don't do bad things. But the key to being a man is very important: be a man first. Only by being a good person can you be a good official. Whether you are in politics, or in the army, you should try your best to serve the country and the people, and always love your family and people. Yang Shankan. Yang Shankan is sincerely happy with every bit of Liu Yuan's progress. In 1988, Liu Yuan was elected as the vice-governor of the province. Yang Shankan's first words after seeing him were, "Give me a cigarette, and be happy for our vice-governor." In 1992, Liu Yuan was transferred to the Armed Police Force and was awarded the rank of Major General of the Armed Police Force. Yang Shankan excitedly took Liu Yuan's hand and said, "Come, let me take a photo with the youngest general in China." Later, when Liu Yuan recalled this incident, he was filled with emotion, standing beside the 26-year-old deputy director of the General Political Department and political commissar of the Legion during the Red Army period, the leader of the North China anti-Japanese war in his early 30s, and the former president of the country in front of him. This sesame sauce, what is it? When I was a child, I had no heirs, but I felt deep admiration in my heart. He and his colleagues in the robes are really a generation of unrivaled heroes. Liu Yuan. In the summer of 1998, a catastrophic flood broke out in the Yangtze River basin. Liu Yuan led the armed police officers and soldiers to the front line to direct the flood relief. On the morning of September 12, Liu Yuan suddenly received a call: "Come to hospital 301, Chairman Yang is dying, let's take a last look." Liu Yuan was shocked and rushed to the hospital immediately. At this time, Yang Shankan was already lying on the hospital bed, on his deathbed. Yang Xiaoming, Yang Shankan's son, said to Liu Yuan, "Dad talked about you several times when he was sick. Whenever he saw floods on TV, he said that you must be fighting floods and he was too busy to come to see him. He didn't want us to tell you. I'm afraid you'll be distracted." Liu Yuan left the ward sobbing. On September 14, 1998, Yang Shankan died of illness at the age of 91. On August 3, 2007, on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of Yang Shankan's birth, Liu Yuan wrote a special article: "Being a good person can be a good official," recalling Chairman Yang Shankan, fondly remembering his Papa Yang. We often say all sages and sages at home and abroad. So what are sages? We believe that anyone who has discovered the truth and told the truth is among the sages we call. Those who distort the truth, smear the truth, and fight against the truth are wordless, and those who are full of lies, turn black and white, and turn black and white are not shit. Adam Smith said in The Wealth of Nations, "Their interest," referring to the bourgeoisie, "has never been fully consistent with the public interest. Generally speaking, their interest is to deceive and oppress the public, and in fact the public is often be deceived and oppressed by them." We think that this passage of Adam Smith makes him well within our standard of sainthood. The division of labor and prices discussed by Adam Smith are the appearance of society, and this passage reveals the essence of society. In this kind of society, the interests of the people, approximately equal to the public interest, are seriously damaged, and some people become the so-called rich through deception and oppression. However, the terrible thing about this kind of society is that it has created a large number of poor people. What's even scarier about this kind of society is that it doesn't have real rich people either. The man who has become rich by deception and oppression must suffer the great condemnation of his own conscience and the whole society at the cost of dehumanization, and it has to deal with the deception and oppression of others, the same kind around it as around the poor situation, namely, liars gather, wolves are around. This makes the sense of security it requires never possible. Real prosperity is not only the reasonable satisfaction of reasonable material needs, but also the friendship and mutual assistance in the relationship between people. Only in friendship and mutual assistance can people obtain spiritual abundance, including a sense of security. This road to prosperity is the road of Chairman Mao. It is impossible to get real prosperity without following the path of Chairman Mao. A few days ago, I first heard that Li Zhouting, who joined the railway guerrillas at the age of 14 and later became the deputy director of the Zibo Municipal People's Congress, had passed away. I was very moved and deeply saddened. I have been in contact with the elderly for more than 20 years. The last time I visited the elderly was in the Spring Festival of 2016. Later, Due to many busy and trivial matters, I did not see each other again. As a leader, I am proud. More than 30 years ago, the old man was the economic consultant of my company. It was in the 90s of the last century, and the township and village-run enterprises in the city were advancing by leaps and bounds. The development of Longquan village, where I served as the village branch secretary, and my personal progress were inextricably linked to this old man. Feeling melancholy, from time to time, the scenes of the old man Li Zhouting together emerged, and I couldn't help but write down that affectionate relationship. 1. I met Li Zhouting in the autumn of 1991. Because our Chunyui electric heaters were selling very well in Beijing department stores at that time, we wanted to hold a press conference at the Dongfang Hotel in Beijing. At that time, because of the cooperation with the Chinese Academy of Sciences, the capital's news department had the Chinese Academy of Sciences was in charge. This was a big event locally. At that time, the deputy district chief in charge of Sukan industry came to the company to hold a preparatory meeting. The district leader proposed to invite Li Zhouting, deputy director of the Municipal People's Congress, to attend. In Zibo City at that time, everyone knew that he had a high level and strong work ability. It was later learned that he was the director of the research office of the Zibo Municipal Party Committee and the deputy secretary general of the municipal government in the 1960s. In the early days of reform and opening up, he served successively as the director of the Zibo Municipal Restructuring Committee and the Planning Committee, and later served as the deputy director of the Standing Committee of the Zibo Municipal People's Congress. At the Beijing Dongfang Hotel press conference, Director Li's speech shocked the entire venue. His voice was loud, restrained, and full of passion. In a few words, he comprehensively summarized Zibo's economic situation, local customs, and cultural heritage. I remember Director Li said that Zibo is a famous historical and cultural city, a fruit city with 5 plum blossoms blooming, and a heavy industrial city. He commented on the central enterprises in Zibo one by one, and their major contributions to New China. A CCTV reporter from Zhangkai whispered next to me, "The level of your city leaders in Zibo is really high, and you have met many people in Beijing, but leaders like Director Li are still rare." With the cognition year after year, I realized that this is not just a single issue of speech level, but more importantly, it is the spirit of pragmatism and truth-seeking of the older generation of builders and founders in that era. Style of working. 2. In the spring of 1992, the old man Li Zhouting proposed to our village-run enterprises the development concept of an enterprise that is not bright in the west and bright in the east. The area is narrow and the ability to resist risks is not strong, so at the suggestion of Mr. Li Zhouting, another automobile leaf spring factory was established. Li Zhouting is very familiar with Zibo's industry, including the decentralization of municipal enterprises and the acquisition of district-owned enterprises, all of which are basically from him. He said, "Jiu, let's go to Zibo Auto Spring Factory to hang Wang Lian." This name was proposed by him when he was the Deputy Secretary General of the municipal government, that is, large municipal enterprises and township and village-run enterprises linked to the network. At that time, the township and village-run enterprises lacked technical talents. The technical ability has also solved the technical difficulties of the township and village-run enterprises and improved the quality of the products of the township and village-run enterprises. Director Li's proposal has been affirmed by the Municipal Party Committee and the municipal government, and a series of implementation measures have been issued, which have been received great economic and social benefits. Through Director Li's introduction and coordination, we have established a very close cooperative relationship with Zibo Auto Spring Factory. Zibo Auto Spring Factory has produced technology, and our factory buildings, equipment, and funds have opened up market sales in 2 or 3 years. In the following 30 years, it has also occupied a certain share in the same industry, and the product quality and production environment have also been continuously improved. We will never forget the strong support given by the old man Li Zhouting. Without his old man's idea of linking the network in Zibo, the company would not have a great development later. 3. The North Shipyard is a large shipyard with a small number of people in our country, and it is also a supplier unit that our company cooperates closely with. We only cooperate with the middle management of the shipyard, and there is no way to get close to the upper management. Director Li led a delegation from Zibo City to the shipyard and invited the subordinates. The leaders of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress inspected the company together, and were warmly received by the chairman and general manager of the shipyard's upper leaders, so that our company's products were well known in the shipyard. He was over 60 years old at the time, but the old man's the thinking is clear, the idea is precise, and the method is very wide. Under Director Lee's advocacy and auspices, we went to Hefei City twice, and through the leaders of the Hefei People's Congress, we entered the Hefei automobile factory and opened up the market. In the 1990s, the company held many product ordering meetings in Yantai, Shenyang, and other places, and it was the old man who made suggestions to achieve both economic and social benefits for the company. During that period of time, Mr. Li Zhongting led us to Jilin City, Mutanjiang, and Swivenhe in the north, Hangzhou, Peking, and Changsha in the south, and we had close relations with the standing committees of the People's Congresses in these cities. At that time, there was a saying that the National People's Congress is a family, and it is difficult to find the National People's Congress. Beside the old man Li Zhongting, what he saw was not only solving problems for the enterprise, but more importantly, he learned a lot from this old revolutionary. One of the words he often said is that selflessness is fearless, fearlessness can be successful, and courage can be fearless. No matter what work you do, you only need to think about the masses. After he retired, he often said, "Gu, I feel very relaxed after I retire." Under the leadership of the party, I participated in the revolution at the age of 14. I have worked hard and selflessly for decades. Work innovation, I want to do everything at the first class level, but I still keep a clear mind at all times. I am afraid that if I make another mistake, this retirement is as easy as being liberated. The stars have changed, and after contacting many people, I realized that the old man has a very high prestige in the municipal party committee and the government. For decades, his reputation has been very good, and there is respect for the old man everywhere. Recommended cadres, the work is very good. This also reflects from one aspect the demeanor of the old man who is selfless, who knows people and loves talents. There are endless places in Tianya and Haijiao, but only the teacher's kindness is endless. From the Beijing press conference in 1991 to 2001, I often met with this old man, and it was also the time I often went to ask for advice. After that, there were more than 10 years. I will never forget the love and guidance this old man showed me. The sad thing is that the 91-year-old old man has passed away in 2022, and I don't know it yet. This is a regret that I can never make up for in my life. Whenever I think of all the good things the old man has done in the past, my heart always aches.